you so much. Shoot. How's everybody? So I sort of shooed the moderator off the stage because I figured it'd be best to just jump into questions if you guys have any questions for me. Or not. Or I can tap dance. Totally kidding. No way. Oh, this is awkward. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Hi, Sean.
Trying to not get whacked in the eye by that thing.
When Summer's been here, she's talked about how big of a help you were to her on Firefly, as it being her first show.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how you saw that relationship you guys had.
Oh, wow. I wasn't helpful at all. I was really mean to her. Just kidding. You know, I get asked that question a lot, sort of like which, you know, the relationship between Simon and River and how did I approach that. And I think it's, I mean, truly one of the easiest things about that show was the way that Summer and I sort of meshed, because I think as a person, I was trying to protect her because she was feeling so green and kind of out of her element, and she was just so good at what she did, and I just felt like I was just trying to nurture that, and then our scenes were just so effortless, like it couldn't help but kind of fall in love with her when I was working with her, and then in retrospect, you know, watching those scenes I think are some of my favorite, very touching. But then I love coming here and, you know, events like this, and, you know, people sort of highlight stuff that I don't think we really meant to do. I think it's just sort of something that organically happened between me and Summer that seems to resonate so strongly, especially with siblings. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering, what characteristic do you feel you most share with Simon Tam?
Oh gosh. I don't know. I was going to say something very sarcastic, but that's a good question. I would like to think that I have an ounce of dedication that he had to his sister. To, you know, I think I do. I think I am to River what I am. I think Simon was to River what I am to my children. I would think. I think I would do anything. So I think just in regards to a commitment and a willingness to, you know, sacrifice himself for the people he loves. I'm also very smart. Kind of good looking. Just kidding. Anyway.
All right. I loved you as Simon, obviously.
Thank you.
But one of my other favorite roles that you did was when you got to play John in Joss Whedon's Much Ado About Nothing. How was it, or what was your process in playing such a villainous character versus, you know, the charming, quirky Simon? How is that different or fun for you?
Oh wow, it was terrifying. I was working on a series in Chicago, and I got this email from Joss. I came back to my hotel like 2 o'clock in the morning after work, and there was an email from Joss, and he says, you know, this is what I'm doing. I'm putting together this movie. I need a sexy villain. What sayeth you? And so I emailed him back, and I said, does this mean you think I'm sexy, Joss? And then he said, of course I think you're sexy. Stop fishing for compliments. Are you in or are you out? And I was like, you know, hang on, let me talk to my manager. So I spoke to my manager about it, and I secretly didn't think that I'd be able to do it because I was in Chicago and I was working on a series, and I kind of hoped that I wouldn't be able to do it because I was so scared. So we got out of the series, and there we were, at rehearsal, and Joss basically told us, we shot it in 12 days, and he was going to set up, like a few cameras, and he knew exactly what he wanted, and so we maybe had one, maybe two shots at it. So that was terrifying, and I wasn't the only one. We were all terrified, but we all went home and did so much homework, and we had a lot of rehearsal, and it was shot at Joss's house, which we'd spent many a drunken night in. That's kind of what the play is about, or the movie. So it was, I think it was a lot of homework. I worked with I worked with a Linklater coach who specifically specializes in Shakespeare, and I think everybody just sort of like went away, came back with like 150%. So I think what you saw was a camera set up and kind of like live theater just happening, and it was terrifying, but like when he yelled cut, I was like covered in goosebumps. It was the most exhilarating experience, and then to watch it was lovely. But John, I am so grateful for Joss for thinking of me for that, because I loved everything. I just loved, he wasn't just like mean, he was just so calculating, and I think Nathan told me that my performance was reptilian. And I was like, oh my God, Nathan, that's the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me. He was just so like, seemingly earnest to your face while he's just destroying your life, so I loved it. You guys are so funny. You don't have to clap after every answer. I like it, but... Aw, shucks.
Hey.
Hi.
So, what episode of Firefly was your favorite to film?
To film? Jamestown. Jamestown, I got 3 favorite episodes. Jamestown, I think, was my favorite to film. I think Ariel was my favorite to watch. Like, I sort of loved, when I saw it, I was like, ooh, there's that, and look at Simon, he can be bad too. And then Safe is just sort of like, encompasses kind of everything for it. Safe is really it encompasses everything that I feel and love about Firefly. That entire shooting it, watching it, working with Summer, working with the writers, the whole storyline, all of that. So, but Jamestown was, my God, so much fun.
Hi there.
Hey there.
I'm going to be taking a very long flight soon, and I wonder if you have book recommendations for my reading list.
Oh, goodness gracious. That's so funny, because I'm an avid reader. What am I reading right now? I just finished The Age of Miracles, which is a novel, which is delightful. Karen Thompson, I believe, is the author. I'm also reading a remarkable book called Quiet by Susan Cain. Just for fellow introverts out there, it's pretty amazing. She did a TED Talk. Susan did a TED Talk that went viral, which is pretty remarkable. I have like 10 books I'm reading right now. You should see my nightstand. But those 2, I think, are kind of on the forefront. I also got The Light You Can't See. All the Light You Cannot See. I bought it. My husband took it. He just finished it. So now it's my turn, but I haven't read it yet. Yeah.
Loved you in Arrow.
Thank you, sir.
And I was curious, who's your favorite superhero?
Oh, gosh. That's like Sophie's Choice.
Heroes. There's no need to.
Heroes. I'm prone to villains. I kind of like the villains. They're so much fun. I'm not uncomfortable at all with your new mask. I'm kidding. I loved Shrapnel. I really, really loved Shrapnel. again, just in terms of like layers of villain, I really feel like he believed what he was doing was right, and I think there was something kind of heroic in that, and kind of something very twisted in that, which was really fun to play. I'm also sort of like I don't know, if you would give me like a dream role, it would be Dexter. So I so super villains in lieu of heroes, or villainously misunderstood heroes.
What's the most fun what assignment have you had the most fun on?
Besides Firefly? You know, I feel very blessed. I've had such wonderful, I just feel, yeah, I've had wonderful experiences throughout my career. I mean, certain films that I've done have felt very rewarding, you know, because of different aspects, whether it be, you know, the team or, you know, the writing or the character. So I always have fun, I think. I don't know. Warehouse 13 was a lot of fun. With Jewel. I have another movie coming out called People You May Know, which I had a ball shooting. And I can't tell if I'm getting older and feeling more comfortable, therefore letting my guard down a little more and having fun, or if these experiences are fun. But Firefly was pretty fun.
As we all know, you played Shrapnel, and you also did voiceover for Nightwing.
Yes.
Let's cross the fence a little bit. What Marvel character would you want to portray, and why?
Oh man, these tough questions. So yeah, I get asked this a lot, and then I always want to ask whoever asked it, because you've got to be thinking of something when you're asking the question, right? I feel like you guys know better than me, because you are more of a, I mean, I look at things from a different, like you sort of look at as, you know, a viewer. So what would you?
I was just curious because I could see many different roles. It was more a question of what would your preference be?
Oh. Thanks for helping me out with the question. I don't know. I mean, there's so many. Is that lame? So I'm gonna leave it with that. Unless you have a better answer. Huh? Doctor Strange.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
Go for one, Doctor. All right, hey Sean, how's it going?
What?
I said, hello, how's it going?
Oh. It's like,
So-
is that English?
That actually ties into my question.
Oh.
So one of my favorite parts of Firefly was when you would curse in Chinese.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed seeing Simon being the very prim, proper character, and then speaking of Janestown, then all of a sudden let out a string of Mandarin. And this is kind of curious to see the language assistance people trying to keep up with this. Do you have a favorite Chinese curse from Firefly?
Gosh. I don't. I didn't really get that much. I like to laugh at everybody else when they got so many words that they had to learn. Do you remember back when there was a thing? Where are the young kids here? Over there. Once upon a time, there was something called a tape cassette. You put it in a big hole, and you push play, and you had to wait for it. I sometimes tell my daughter there used to not be payphones, or there used to not be cell phones. There were only payphones, and I swear I think she does not believe me. Every time she's like, anyway, I didn't get very many curse words. Alan got a lot of stuff. I had a lovely time watching Alan stumble and fall over his Chinese. So much fun. But my favorite word, it's not a curse word, it's mei. Just something I've kind of kept in my repertoire. I call my daughter that from time to time, and, I'll call you. Thanks, Mei Mei. that question made me.
Hi there.
Hi there.
What advice would you give, my question's in two parts actually. What advice would you give for people like many of us here that are starting off with auditioning? And how would you say your auditions are different now after this success versus when you first started out?
That's a great question. What I wish someone had told me ages ago would be, and what I'll tell you now is, I think it's better to take a risk and make a mistake and perhaps fail in your audition than it is to get it right, you know? Like, so I'm sort of, in my old age, a bit of a recovering perfectionist, or I try and say I'm a recovering perfectionist, I still try and deal with that. And I think the beauty of the work comes in the unplanned, spontaneous, sort of messy, flawed parts of ourselves. I had a really hard time with that early on. I still have a hard time with that. Like I would, go in and give my perfect audition, and I sort of wish someone had taught me how to fall down, and just, because I think the mistakes are sometimes where the magic is, and, we can't grow if we don't fail. So I would say that. And I'm still working with that. I mean, truly, it's so hard. It's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard to be, and the other thing I will say is the audition is just, it's a different beast. And so what we're trying to do in the audition is not the work, not the film, not the TV show, not the commercial. It's a moment in time where, it's where people are trying to figure it out still. So I think if, striving to get it perfect, performance ready is not, and also just don't take it personally, which is the hardest thing in the world. But if you ever read The Four Agreements, which is this beautiful book, one of the Four Agreements is, don't ever take it personally. And that is probably the hardest thing to do in this industry, but it's never really about you. Okay, maybe.
Hello.
Hey.
I was wondering about Brian's song.
Aww.
Yeah, just where'd you get that kind of inspiration to be that optimistic? Because throughout the whole thing, you're so optimistic throughout such hard trial.
Oh yeah, well that wasn't me, that was Brian Piccolo. I mean that movie, the younger guy who asked me about one of my fun job, when I referenced that movie, it was that Brian song. I mean, it was just, what a role, what a person, what a human being, what a gift to be able to portray someone, so iconic. But then we also, his widow was helping us write the script at the time, so I got to pick up the phone and sort of ask her anything I wanted, which is such a gift as an actor, just the little tiny tidbits that you can get. So he was a jokester through and through. That was not me, that was what was written on the page. I was just trying to do my job. But yeah, he was just a remarkable man. Yeah. Okay.
I was wondering if you've seen anything from the fan-made YouTube video of an animated Firefly, and if you'd be interested in doing anything like that, you and everybody else.
Oh yeah, I've seen bits and pieces on social media. I've seen some stuff. I mean, yeah, anything to do with Firefly or Simon, I would love to do that. If they ask me, they might want Zac Efron.
Hi. My question is more about your relationship with Inara. The more I watch the series, the more it feels like there was some kind of connection between those two characters. I wondered if that was more of a potential relationship as they were both pining for someone else, or if that was just that they came from a more refined society than they were used to.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, and Marina and I talked about that a lot. The fate of the show, it really didn't get to go where we all kind of hoped it would. I think what was happening with, Simon and Inara, there was a sort of a background there, a very privileged, educated, certain class that brought them together, but I think he was secretly helping her with her health. I don't know if I want to say that out loud. I don't know if I'm like, what I'm.
Some of us know what you're talking about.
Some of you do. Oh man. I'll let you guys say it then.
Inara was dying.
Yeah, so there are theories and, that she was dying, and so, yeah. So I think I would have been that person for her. But it didn't happen. Yet. We're all gonna be in our 80s. Like, Firefly coming back? Maybe next year. Yes, it sure did. Let's hang on to that hope. Hi, girls.
Hi.
Hi.
So, I'm Grace, and I was wondering, how did you feel when Firefly
I see that.
got canceled?
I do that all the time. Firefly. How did I feel? Oh man. You're so young and I want to curse so badly.
Say it in Chinese.
I know. I felt real bad inside. No, it was devastating. I mean, it was just, I don't know. I would be lying if I said we didn't kind of feel like it was maybe going to happen. We didn't have a lot of love from the network. We kind of felt very misunderstood. It might have had something to do with them watching the pilot and then saying, huh? What do you mean there's forces in outer space? Or like, where are the lasers? Where are the aliens? And Joss was like, oh, but that's not the show I created. They're like, well, we don't get it. So I think there was just something initially that was not connecting with the network, and so it didn't make it any easier. But I think when we got canceled, it was sort of it's abrupt, it's horrible, it's I wasn't working that day. My mom was in town, and I saw my cell phone was like I stepped away from it for like a second. And there were like all these missed calls and like all these voicemails, and I kind of knew what was happening. And she was so sweet. She said, just go, because I was like, we have to go. We're going to Nathan's house to drink and eat bean dip and cry. And so I went, and I think at that point in my career, I was feeling a little. That was my fourth canceled show at Fox, so I was feeling a little jaded. So when Joss said we're gonna find another home for it, I was like, I'd heard that before, I was like, yay, we'll shop it around or whatever. But we got the movie, which is pretty amazing. But yeah, it wasn't a fun. It stung harder than other shows that I'd been on that had been canceled. I'll leave it at that. I'm cursing inside.
Hi, I was just wondering about the difference between like traditional acting and voice acting, and like what techniques you cross over and what techniques you have to like figure out.
Good question. These are great questions. Y'all are so smart. Gosh, it's so interesting because sometimes I feel like with voice acting, I have to fully be in my body. I do a lot more. I'm always a physical actor, and I'm always, I always warm up before I work and all that stuff. But with voice acting, like I feel like I have to, like, sort of feel my voice and the rest of my body, or else it's just not. There's really nothing there to play off of, which makes it difficult. But you get to, in my experience, you get to, they say, give me three. So I'll say, oh, that was really tough. That was really tough. That was really tough. So you do like 1, 2, 3 in a row. So there's something about that, the repetition, which is kind of a Meisner technique, which is an acting approach. So there's like so many things that are different than other things that are just so similar. I'm just trying to tell a story and do the best that I can. I do miss the interaction with the other actors. I have not had the experience where I get to work with other actors. I guess it's, you know, it happens, just I haven't done it. But yeah, you know, I mean, it's so different, but it's also not really, I'm not really explaining myself at all, am I? No? Really? You're supposed to say, sure, Sean, you're fine. I mean, do you have a specific, like, question? Like, or a specific detail? Like, theatrically, like, I open a script and I break it down, I do all my homework, you know, and I get it all, like, sort of as best I can in my bones and my body, and then when I step on set, I try and throw that away, because if something's coming from the other person or if something spontaneous happens, you don't want to be so rigid in your method. With the voiceovers, I don't really look at it that much, and I equate it, like I said before, almost like a Meisner technique, as you say it over and over and over again. There are some actors that I'd heard, like, you know, some of the greatest, like, you know, De Niro and Pacino, who, you know, they'll say their line, they'll put their finger up, they'll say it again, they'll put their finger up, they'll say it again, like they just, you know, while the camera's rolling, which is kind of the beauty that happens, you know, in the booth, because there's not really a camera on you. I do find, though, with voiceover, I'm much more eager for guidance, right? Because there's somebody in the booth who can see a bigger picture than I can. All I'm seeing is these words, which is difficult. But I love them both. I don't know. I always thought it's so funny when they cast me as Nightwing. I was so terrified and I was so sure I was going to be fired. And they asked me back for the second movie, and I was like, "This is crazy. They're going to fire me." So I went second movie. Was so sure I was going to be fired. Didn't get fired. And then the third movie, I finally was like, "Huh, maybe they like what I'm doing." And I think that movie, I was having so much fun with it, and that's the one I enjoyed watching the most, because I just was so not confident in my ability. Was that better?
You've been part of a couple franchises that have huge fan bases and people geek out over you. Is there anything that you're a big fan of or that you geek out over?
Oh gosh, Stranger Things. Holy moly. I mean, Dexter was like I still miss him so much. What else I geek out? Lord of the Rings. I'm certainly a Shakespeare geek. What else? Yeah, lots of stuff. I mean, yeah.
Hi there. How have things changed for you since, professionally, publicly, since coming out?
Oh, good question. You know, not so much. And listen, I'm blessed. It was. Again, I'm like, I don't know. People ask me that question a lot. Like, you know, do I really feel? Do I feel like it's going to hinder my, you know, my professional life, or do I feel like I'm not going to get the roles that I want, or, you know? And I just didn't. I feel like I was old enough then and evolved enough, and I think being a parent, which is what inspired it anyway, which, you know, my daughter has just imparted so much wisdom on me. But I think feeling wise and confident enough to say, well, if somebody wouldn't hire me because of my sexuality, then I actually don't want to be working with that person. Which I think I'd said in the past, but I didn't believe it. Like I was just so, you know, younger and more scared that I wouldn't get the leading man roles. And I had a lot of people who told me, like, well, you're a leading man, you've got to keep that to yourself, you know. So it was a really confusing and scary time. But I think as I got older and I had this family life, and there was my daughter, and she's much more important than any role. So I think I felt confident that, you know, if it would affect me, I wouldn't care. But it was interesting because we were shooting Much Ado when I came out, and all of these journalists were asking that question, like, you know, and I couldn't tell anybody that we were shooting Much Ado because it was all a big secret, but I so badly wanted to be like, well, Joss Whedon doesn't think so, you know, Joss Whedon doesn't see me any differently. Like, wait till you see what I did with Ricky Lindholm, you know. And when we talked to somebody asked about the experience of Much Ado, it was so funny because I was so terrified, and then it was so exhilarating. The first thing we shot was that scene with Ricky where I was, you know, making out. Does everyone know who Ricky is? If you haven't seen the movie, gorgeous, hysterical blonde who's in the movie, and Joss had rewritten the script. That's normally a guy, Conrad, and he, you know, rewrote it as a girl, and there was Ricky, and so we had a very sort of racy scene, and every time we yelled cut, because it was our first day, and I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. And Joss was like, are you sure you're gay? Anyway, funny tidbit. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well.
Good.
So, what would your dream quarters be like in the Serenity?
My dream quarters. Jane's bunk. I think Jane wanted Simon in his bunk. That's what it was all about. Just kidding.
So, hello.
Hi.
What was your favorite original song from the Firefly soundtrack?
Oh, I think the theme song.
Hi.
Hi.
So, first two things. You're not old, and I agree with Josh, you are very sexy. And,
Not blushing.
spoiler alert, but if you haven't seen Serenity, what have you been doing with your life?
Wait, what?
If you haven't seen Serenity, what have you been doing with your life? Just as a spoiler alert. What did you think of the deaths of the characters?
Oh, you were warning everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't seen it yet. What are you talking about? Wait, Wash doesn't die or anything like that, does he? Too soon. It's always too soon. 80 years old. We're a bit too soon. What did I think? Wow. You know, I think for me I didn't mourn it so much because I felt like there was a way that Joss would have brought them back in his wonderful kill somebody but they're not gone way, which he's so good at. And I don't think it would have been the end. But it was still, gosh, when we shot that movie, one of the hardest moments, I think, for me as an actor was when we were all sort of running and it was sort of towards the end, and when Zoe says, you know, when everyone's like, where's Wash? And she says, he ain't coming. Like, I had to try so hard not to, like, burst out, you know, crying, which, you know, Simon couldn't do then because the Reavers are coming, so there's no time for crying. But I think as an actor, it was, like, so charged with so much emotion for me. So it wasn't the actual death, which is also super traumatic, but it's like that one line when she says, he ain't coming. See, I just got chills when I said it. So it was hard. I think Book's death was, Book dies too. Hard, absolutely. Performance-wise, you know, just pretty extraordinary though. Hi.
What's one life lesson you learned from being Simon Tam?
preferably a story of how you learned that.
Oh gosh. One life lesson. I'm trying to think. It's such a good question. Again, my mind goes to such like sarcasm and potty mouth usually.
That's welcome too.
Yeah, but it's such a good question. I don't know. I was going to say, that Nathan Fillion is my captain. But I think life lesson. Some people know this, not everybody. Personally, when I was shooting Firefly, that was one of the most difficult times of my entire life. And had I not had that crew, I'm so grateful that I got to go and be with them. And I think my lesson and what I hold out faith for is that the extraordinary is possible when it comes to the professional world. I think I was very confused. Like right before I booked Firefly, I was sort of kind of when we were doing, I was actually thinking of leaving acting. Like it was a very confusing time for me, and I was very sad and very lonely, and I loved all of them so much, and I don't think I realized it until like... That was funny.
Talk to the side.
Anyway, so I think... thank you. I don't know. Maybe like the extraordinary is possible. That would be my life lesson.
Hi, Sean.
Hello.
So my question for you is regarding Con Man. How was it being able to, join in with Alan Tudyk and be able to basically play what seemed like an exaggerated form of yourself?
Yeah. Thank you for saying you think it was exaggerated. Because courage actually does make my junk pop. How was it? It was just fantastic. It wasn't just, of course it was Alan. I was so, he had called me about it, we met for lunch, he hadn't even sent me the script yet, but I said yes, a million yeses, count me in. And then I read it, and it's an exaggerated form of myself. It was wonderful, and I think, yes, Alan, but also there was a lot of just all of us who had kind of crossed paths, one time or another, and all these actors who I had met and liked and mutually respected them as actors and people, and so we all got to come together and just have a great time. And it was also the crew. A lot of the crew I had worked with in the past, so it was really just, he's kind of encompassed this whole what work should be, right? It should be fun, and we should all be loving what we're doing, and it was pretty delightful. Is that it for me? Wow. I thought I was gonna have to tap dance. I seriously can't. I could fake it, but.
Now they're gonna be mad because I'm asking a question you won't tap dance. So my question is, will you tap dance? So do you ever imagine, or have you ever thought of where Simon would be today?
Yeah.
Or do you not, or do you try not to, because maybe someday you will have your cane and it will happen?
Do I think about it?
And what do you think?
Well,
just say yes or no.
I just wanted Simon and Kaylee to have a ton of babies. River needed someone to play with.
And why not? because she is dressed as Kaylee.
What?
And her name is Kaylee. Wave Kaylee. Maybe she left. She's hiding, literally hiding behind her chair.
I'm blind as a bat up here. I can't see anything. Do I think about it? I mean, I think about it. Like, do I lay in bed in the fetal position and cry about it? No, I'm kidding. Again, this experience with Firefly was just, it was so unique to me and so remarkable in so many ways. And one of the ways was because Joss sat us down, each actor, and said, well, this is what I'm envisioning, here's the arc. And that had never happened to me. I had done tons of hour-long dramas, and I wasn't told much of anything until I read the script, and it was exciting, but it's also very confusing. And so nice for him to just sort of, talk about, so what we were sort of doing, and what I was really excited was, was letting Simon become more a part of the crew and get his hands dirty, and I think we saw a little bit of that in Ariel, but I was excited to take off my vests and maybe get off the ship once in a while and go have some thrilling heroics with the rest of them, rather than stay home and take care of my crazy sister. And I think we were sort of going there, and it was it was so lovely because it wasn't just sort of what they're writing, it was, the costumes, it was, my colors were starting to become, more crew. It was, there was a journey that was starting to happen, but, wah wah.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. My question is, Nathan, Alan, Joss, they're all pretty much notorious for pulling a lot of practical jokes behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you could maybe tell us what your favorite practical joke that was successfully pulled off behind the scenes on Firefly was.
Me, I never had any. Truly, I'm an introvert.
What was your favorite one that they pulled off?
Oh my gosh. So many. I think my favorite, and again, it was sort of the experience of it happening and then watching it, and everyone's seen the DVD extras, right, where Nathan, during the message, and the camera's doing a 360-degree hand, and Nathan zips under the camera and stands next to the next person and zips under the camera, so you never see him. Does everyone know what I'm talking about? Yeah. To this day, I can't watch that without wetting my pants. And it was so funny because those were the days that those were all of us in the cargo bay, and on hour-long television, you shoot for 12 hours. If you start your day at 8, you hope to end your day at 8. It never happens. You go 16, 18, 20, sometimes 22, 23-hour days. And with Firefly, days like that in the cargo bay, which is all of us, lots of coverage, so making the day more complicated. My mom was visiting, and she was up sitting next to Joss with their headphones on, watching the thing, and Nathan did that during rehearsal, and we shot the scene, and then Joss was like, all right, we gotta go back, we gotta grab that thing that Nathan did. It's too good to miss. And so we set up a whole other shot to get it, so just so we had it, and then we were still out of there in 12 hours, which sort of speaks volumes to the experience. It was just, it was an environment that allowed such playfulness, but we just all got the work done, which is rare. My only regret is that I didn't hold it together during that practical joke. I was so mad. Hi there. You have 1 minute, 15, 14, 13. Hurry up. I have a thing right here telling me.
Okay, so my question is,
But I'm in no
earlier
rush.
you said that Jamestown was your favorite to shoot, and I just was wondering what about Jamestown was so wonderful?
Mud. They sell mud. Just everything about it. Everything. Getting drunk with Kaylee and the mud and the statue and everything. thing. I think Miranda got sunburned in her cleavage again, which is always so fun. It was just one of those, it was just fun. Like, it was hysterical. Shooting that. Yeah.
Can you give a warm round of applause for Sean Maher?